Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Sunday, September 3rd, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with the news that All Elite Wrestling has fired CM Punk with cause following his backstage confrontation with Jack Perry last Saturday during the company's All In event in London. Saturday afternoon, AEW CEO, General Manager, and Head of Talent Relations Tony Khan issued a press release stating, quote, following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause, end quote. Punk, real name Phil Brooks, had gotten into a physical confrontation with Jack Perry near the gorilla position during last Saturday's AEW All In pay-per-view event at Wembley Stadium in London. Last night, Khan opened AEW Collision with a video statement.
Welcome to AEW Collision. Today I had to make one of the toughest decisions of my professional career. Today I terminated Phil Brooks, CM Punk, for cause. This stems from a backstage incident at AEW All In last Sunday. The incident was regrettable, and it endangered people backstage. That includes the production staff, the people who help put the show on every week, innocent people who had nothing to do with it. I've been going to wrestling shows for over 30 years. I've been producing them on this network for nearly 4 years. Never in all that time have I ever felt, until last Sunday, that my security, my safety, my life was in danger at a wrestling show. I don't think anybody should feel that way at work. I don't think the people I work with should feel that way. And I had to make a very difficult choice today. It came at the recommendation of a discipline committee here in AEW, as well as outside legal counsel, who delivered a unanimous recommendation. And I have followed up on that recommendation. I'm sorry to any fans who are upset by this. I'm sorry to anyone who's upset by this. Despite that, we're gonna have a great show tonight on Collision, and we're gonna have a great AEW All Out pay-per-view tomorrow here in Chicago.
While media reports have differed on the details of the incident, Punk took offense to an insider reference Perry had made on air during his match against Hook. As Perry returned to the back, he was confronted by Punk in the gorilla position and physicality ensued, with Punk reportedly placing a guillotine choke on Perry before it was broken up. The incident took place in full view of several AEW employees and wrestlers, including Tony Khan, with the Wrestling Observer newsletter noting one source stating that once Punk and Perry were separated, quote, Punk lunged in Khan's direction, but a number of people got in his way while Punk was yelling, I quit, end quote. Last Thursday, Fightful reported the incident had been recorded on the Wembley Stadium security cameras and that AEW had been reviewing the footage. Khan's release yesterday also showed appreciation for Punk's time there, saying, quote, Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause was ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, I wish I did not have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making the decision in the best interests of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week. End quote. Punk had signed with the company in August 2021 to great fanfare, returning to the ring for the first time since leaving World Wrestling Entertainment in January of 2014. During his time in AEW, Punk held the AEW World Championship twice, with both reigns being marred by injuries. Less than a week after winning his first title in June of 2022, Punk went on the shelf due to suffering a fractured foot. Jon Moxley became the interim champion in Punk's absence and defeated Punk to unify the lineage in August of that year. Punk regained the title from Moxley less than 2 weeks later during September 2022's All Out pay-per-view, but suffered a triceps tear in the process. Following the title match with Moxley during the post-All Out press conference, Punk aired a series of grievances both directly and indirectly against several people inside the company. This later led to Punk becoming involved in a physical confrontation with Matt and Nick Jackson, which also involved Kenny Omega and Punk's friend and AEW agent Ace Steel. While never made public, AEW is believed to have suspended the four wrestlers after the incident, with Steel being released from his duties. The Young Bucks and Omega returned to their in-ring duties 2 months later in November of 2022, while Punk remained on the sidelines until this past June due to his triceps tear. We'll have more on last night's AEW Collision show later in the newscast. WWE Payback was broadcast live last night on Peacock and the WWE Network, emanating from the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Seth Rollins retained the World Heavyweight title, defeating Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event of the show. After the show went off the air, Nakamura attacked Rollins as he made his way to the back. WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley also retained her title for the 24th time, turning back the challenge of Raquel Rodriguez. Earlier in the night, Ripley had also gotten involved in the Undisputed World Tag Team Championship match, where her Judgment Day partners, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, upended Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a Steel City street fight to win the titles. After the bout, Balor and Priest cut a promo backstage.
Hey, Damian, what's that old expression? The champs are here!
Yes, they are. I know it's been rumored that there's some dissension in the ranks, but you guys seemed on the same page tonight. Any thoughts?
Yeah, we're a family. Brothers fight. But when we're on the same page, nobody can stop the Judgment Day. Now we stand here, new undisputed tag team champions. I stand here, Mr. Money in the Bank. We got the Women's World Champion. We got the North American Champion. The Judgment Day, we will always rise.
Hey, Damian, it's time to go celebrate with Rhea and Dom because we got all the gold. All right, let's go.
In the only other title match on the show, Rey Mysterio retained the United States Championship by knocking off former champion Austin Theory in a rematch of their bout from August 11th on SmackDown, where Mysterio claimed the title. During the Grayson Waller Effect talk show segment, Waller's guest Cody Rhodes announced that he had used some of his influence inside the company to bring Jey Uso over to the Monday Night Raw roster.
And I hope this is not a decision that I regret. I sorely hope so. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your newest member of the Monday Night Raw roster, main event, Jey Uso.
Wow! Blockbuster announcement!
Before the segment ended, Waller insulted Uso, which led to Jey flattening him with a super kick.
Anyone is in desperate need of the Grayson Waller rub. It is... Oh!
Also on the show, LA Knight defeated The Miz in a match where John Cena served as the special guest referee. And in the opener, Becky Lynch defeated Trish Stratus in a steel cage match. After the bout, Stratus's partner Zoe Stark turned on her and left her lying in the ring. AEW Collision also aired live last night on TNT from the United Center in Chicago and served as the go-home show for tonight's All Out pay-per-view. As mentioned earlier in the newscast, before Collision began, Tony Khan addressed the home viewers about CM Punk being fired by the company earlier in the day. Khan also addressed the live crowd in person before the show about the situation. The program opened with Ricky Starks challenging Ricky Steamboat to a strap match tonight at All Out. Steamboat presented a contract to Starks, listing Starks' opponent as the Dragon, and once Starks signed the paperwork, Steamboat then announced the surprise return of Bryan Danielson. Danielson hasn't wrestled since breaking his arm against Kazuchika Okada on June 25th. The main event of the show saw Bullet Club Gold's Jay White pin FTR's Dax Harwood. After the match, Juice Robinson and the Gun Club attacked Harwood and Cash Wheeler until the Young Bucks made the save to end the show. Matt and Nick Jackson then offered to shake the hands of FTR, but FTR walked away in the same way that the Bucks walked away from them during All In. The program opened with Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed retaining the AEW World Trios title by holding off the challenge of Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. Later in the show, during a segment involving Basketball Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman, Gunn and the Acclaimed challenged Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh for a match at All Out, with Rodman in the Acclaimed's corner. Also on the show, Powerhouse Hobbs squashed GPA in 9 seconds. After the match, Miro came down and brawled with Hobbs. Aussie Open defeated Commander and Nick Wayne, and in a 6-woman tag, the Outcasts of Ruby Soho, Saraya, and Tony Storm defeated Dr. Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Chris Statlander when Soho pinned Baker. And we close with a look at Japan. Pro Wrestling Noah held the finals of their N1 Victory Tournament on Sunday at the Edion Arena in Osaka. Go Shiozaki claimed his first N1 trophy, knocking off Keno in the main event, pinning him after a moonsault. After the bout, Shiozaki was confronted by GHC World Champion Jake Lee. The penultimate bout saw Kaito Kiyomiya and Ryohei Oiwa defeat New Japan's Zack Sabre Jr. and Yoshinari Ogawa in a tag team match. Also on the show, Josh Barnett stopped Masakatsu Funaki by TKO in a GHC Martial Arts Rules bout, and Chris Ridgway and Daga defended the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title over at Sushi Katoge and High 69. AAA wrestler Psycho Clown also appeared on the show and attacked GHC National Champion El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix continued this morning at the Sun Plaza Hall in Hiroshima and featured 4 title matches. In the main event, NJPW Strong Women's Champion Julia made her third defense of the title, defeating Risa Serra. Mirai kept the Wonder of Stardom title, pinning Konami. Natsupoi and Saori Ano held on to the Goddess of Stardom tag team titles, topping Suzu Suzuki and Mei Sierra when Ano pinned Sierra. After the match, Azumi and Utami Hayashita challenged the champions. Saki Kashima defeated Momo Kogo to retain the high-speed title, and there were also 4 Grand Prix tournament matches. In the Lone Blue Stars block encounter, Utami Hayashita defeated Momo Watanabe. In Red Star block bouts, Tam Nakano stopped Starlight Kid, Syuri upended Mayu Iwatani, and Hazuki defeated the injured Saya Kamitani via forfeit. Natsuko Tora leads the Red Stars block with 12 points, while Hayashita now leads the Blue Stars block with 8 points. All Japan Pro Wrestling ran the Aori Nagaoka today in Nagaoka, Japan. In the main event, Yume Aoyagi defended the Triple Crown World Championship, defeating New Japan's Satoshi Kojima. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.